Chapter 1. In the 40th year of my marriage to Leo, I suddenly passed away from overwork. For 40 years, I cared for my mother-in-law who had been paralyzed for 35, and raised our son into adulthood. My final wish before death was to be buried next to my parents. But the very next day, my body was donated, without consent, to the research institute where Leo's first love worked. Two people, both over 50, stood before my shriveled, naked corpse and kissed passionately. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have lost all those years apart. Well, at least she raised our child for us, and now she's contributing to your research. I suppose that makes up for her sins. A little. Too bad the youth we lost will never return. Their so-called youth was half of my life. As my soul drifted above, I was overwhelmed with anguish. But when I opened my eyes again, it was the day the matchmaker came. Leo, young and cold-faced, said, "As you wish. You bring the dowry, support me through school, and take care of my mother. I'll marry you." It's done then. Miranda, you must be a good wife. Serve your mother-in-law well, and look after Leo. After all, Leo is the only one in the village to graduate high school. He'll definitely be our first college student too. Comrade Miranda, the burden is on your shoulders. The matchmaker beamed with joy, pulling Leo's hand and mine together tightly. His resistance was so real. But, wasn't I already dead? I looked around in shock. In the glass window, aside from the crowd of curious villagers, there was also a reflection of a young face. 19. It was the 19-year-old me. I had actually returned. To the very day I got engaged to Leo. You're not educated, and we're not on the same level. We've got nothing in common to talk about. Honestly, you're not worthy of me. I'm marrying you only because you're obedient enough. I have to go to classes in the county after we get married. You'll stay home and look after my mother. All her food ration coupons go to me. And your own share? My mom comes first. The Leo from this life and the last overlapped in front of me, his cruel words echoing in my ears. I jerked my hand away from his as if shocked by electricity. I'm not marrying you. Startled by my sudden movement, the matchmaker gasped and scolded gently. Oh my! The bride's just being shy. The whole house and courtyard burst into laughter, the villagers teasing all at once. She used to hang around Leo's place all the time. Now that she's marrying in, suddenly she's acting shy. Exactly. This is the new era. Falling in love is nothing to be ashamed of. You're lucky to land someone so educated. Leo's the pride of our village. In my past life, I had once fallen into the river, and Leo had jumped in to save me. Grateful for his kindness, I tried everything to repay him. I gave his mother all the sweets I bought from the state-owned store, even when I couldn't bear to eat them myself. I used precious cloth coupons to make new clothes for Leo while I wore patched-up rough cloth. Leo's mother saw me as diligent, good-tempered, and an orphan who came with a dowry. She told me I should marry Leo to repay the favor. Good girl. My Leo caught a fever saving you. He even missed school for days. Besides, everyone knows he gave you mouth-to-mouth. If you don't marry him, no one else will. A girl your age lingering unmarried, your late parents wouldn't rest in peace. With a mix of coaxing and emotional blackmail, I stepped into Leo's family before I even understood what marriage meant. I served them like a mule for 40 years, and all I got was betrayal and humiliation. Now that heaven gave me another chance, there's no way I'll repeat the same mistake. My mom says you're moving into our house today. I don't have time to throw a wedding. I've got school. Just like in the previous life, Leo was cold and impatient, ordering the villagers to help move my dowry. When my parents were alive, they had worked hard and left behind a decent estate. Later, thanks to that dowry, Leo was able to finish high school and get into college. After graduation, he got a government job and rose through the ranks effortlessly. Everyone excitedly helped move things. In my past life, I was dragged into Leo's home just like this, no wedding, not even a single red decoration. I had thought Leo was just a man who didn't know how to be romantic until 2 months after my death. When he held a grand wedding to marry Sandra, he personally planned every part of the ceremony, shedding tears multiple times throughout. Back in the old days, marriage was just about surviving. Anyone could do. I didn't even know what love felt like until I married Sandra. This is what happiness really means. Well then, this life. I won't delay his happiness ever again. Seeing them about to carry things out, I immediately stepped forward. Stop! Put everything down! Everyone looked at me in confusion. Leo, impatient as ever, snapped. Enough. Miranda, don't tell me you're dragging it out just so people can see how much dowry you brought. We're all working class here. You're just flashing the hard-earned money your parents left behind. What's there to show off about? As if I'm marrying you because of your dowry. Let me tell you, if you hadn't clung to my mom like a leech, I wouldn't even consider marrying an illiterate like you. The brand new army green pants he had on, I traded precious cloth coupons for them. Stayed up all night stitching them by oil lamp. Just like in my past life, using my things while cursing me at the same time. But this time, I've lived through 40 years of being deceived. I'm no longer that timid Miranda who didn't dare speak up. Staring at Leo's chin held high, I lifted mine too, crossing my arms. You're not marrying me? Well, I'm not marrying you either. Chapter 2. The moment I said those words, everyone froze in place. After all, in my previous life, I had always been running to Leo's house, with his mother stirring the pot behind my back. The entire village believed I was the one shamelessly chasing after him, while girls my age had suitors lining up at their doors. No one came for me, because I was spoken for. Now, I pressed down on a chair someone was trying to carry out and cleared my throat. Comrade Leo, I used to help at your house out of gratitude for saving my life. Later, your mother said you couldn't afford school, and asked me to bring my dowry to support your education. I agreed, barely, because I owed you a debt. But now that you think I'm not worthy of you, and you clearly despise my dowry, then fine, I'm not clinging to your glorious self. From now on, you walk your way. I'll walk mine. We'll live like strangers, peacefully, separately. My voice rang out clear and firm. I ignored Leo's face turning black as ink, cupped my fists toward the villagers, and smiled. Folks, I'm really sorry to have dragged you into this mess today, but since you're all here, Miranda, won't let you go home empty-handed. I'll go buy meat and cook up a feast tonight. Come eat with me. Let's just say, we're celebrating my new life. And if there are any honest, hardworking young men who don't rely on handouts, I looked straight at Leo, I'd appreciate it if all the aunties and uncles keep me in mind. I made sure to emphasize the don't rely on handouts part, shooting Leo a glare. I was always a free-spirited person. It was only through Leo's constant belittling in the past life that I became quiet and insecure. But now that I've decided to climb out of the mud, Leo will never get the chance to put me down again. While everyone was still waiting for Leo's reaction, I had already shoved him out of the house with swift, clean moves. What I didn't expect was for Leo to suddenly explode with rage. Miranda, what kind of game are you playing? There's no way you don't want to marry me. I rolled my eyes at him. You think you're some hot commodity? You're so scrawny you look like a half-plucked chicken. Laughter burst out from the crowd. Right now, Leo was nothing more than a frail student living off others. His face turned red with humiliation. Miranda, stop pretending to be noble. You even gave up your kidney for me. His words cut off suddenly, but my heart skipped a beat. In my previous life, when Leo was diagnosed with kidney disease, transplant technology was still primitive, but I turned out to be a match and didn't hesitate to donate my kidney to him. After the surgery, I cared for him around the clock, ignoring my own health. The combination of overwork and the loss of a kidney left me with chronic illness. But how does he know about that now? Seeing the flicker of guilt in his eyes, a bold thought surged through me. Leo has been reborn too. The idea made my fists clench. He actually wants to drag me back into that swamp? What did you just say? I asked, pretending not to hear clearly. What? Did you just realize you were too harsh and now want to take it all back? Planning to marry me again? Leo stared at me, pride quickly returning to his face. Humph. So that's your trick. Push me away to pull me in? You're trying to provoke me. Make me think you're not desperate to marry me, just so you don't seem like you're throwing yourself at me? Miranda, let me tell you now, if you think I'll ever beg for you, forget it. If you want to marry me, you'd better swallow your pride fast. Otherwise, once I walk out that door, even if you crawl on your knees. Before he could finish, I chased him out of the yard with a broom. Where did this garbage come from? Take your bad luck and get out." As he left, Leo ground his teeth and yelled, "Fine. Miranda, you brought this on yourself. Wait till I make it big, when I'm surrounded by beautiful women. You'll be crying your heart out with regret." That night, I threw a banquet with 8 full tables at home to treat the villagers well. My parents passed away early, and I had no siblings. For years, I had relied on the neighbors for help with everything, big and small. During the feast, some of the girls I was close to pulled me aside. "Miranda, sure, Leo has a bad temper, but he is one of the few promising guys around here. He might really get into college and succeed one day. Don't let your anger ruin your future. You've made your point. If you want, we'll go with you later and apologize to Leo's mom. I heard there's a pretty girl at Leo's school too. You should act fast." It was the same as before, even though I gave half my life to Leo's family. In the end, people still said I was lucky to have snagged the right man. The wine tasted increasingly bitter in my mouth. I'd rather never get married in this life than marry Leo again. I swallowed another mouthful of wine. This life, I'll live for myself. We were still in the middle of the feast when the door was suddenly thrown open with a loud bang. A girl without parents really doesn't know her place. "You started the banquet without me?" Chapter 3. Leo's mother barged in, full of arrogance. Just like in my past life, she stormed in and took over the scene without a shred of shame, exchanging greetings left and right. "Today is a joyous day for my Leo's family. Everyone, eat and drink to your heart's content. If the food and wine run out, just say the word, we'll bring more." We, the Leo family, are a scholarly and well-mannered household. Clearly I've failed to find a proper daughter-in-law for our family. What a disgrace. Leo's mother raised her voice shamelessly as she stormed in. Leo's father used to be the commune's accountant, but died drunk in the grain warehouse. Yet she had the gall to claim he had died in service. She had always been good at twisting the truth. Now, shouting in front of everyone, she said, "Miranda, I gave you money to host this banquet. Now that everything's ready, you sneak a bite before calling me? Once you marry into the Leo family, you're no longer a child. If you keep being this greedy, you'll be laughed at." Then she leaned in close and whispered harshly, "I used to think you were a sensible girl. What's gotten into you? Acting like this? But I'll let it go this time. It's your first offense. In a moment, come back with me, apologize to Leo, kneel down and serve him tea. I'll still consider you part of our family. If not, I'll make sure no man dares marry you in this lifetime." When I didn't move, she slapped me hard on the back. "Are you deaf when your elders speak? How dare you sit before the guests are full?" She snatched the wine cup from my hand. "My son's going to be a high-ranking official one day. Drinking dulls the mind, he can't drink. I'll drink for the Leo family. Forgive us, folks, if anything is lacking." Her antics left the whole crowd stunned. So Leo's mom provided the money and Miranda did all the work. Why didn't she say so earlier? After that fight this morning, I really thought Miranda had called the whole thing off. But it seems like she just wanted to look good herself. Not very nice. "Miranda, hurry and give your mother-in-law your seat." In my past life, when I married into the Leo family, there was no wedding banquet, but Leo's mom still went around collecting gift money from others as if there were. The next morning, Leo went back to school in the county. I was left alone to cook, serve, and thank the guests, using my dowry. When it came time to eat, Leo's mother swept in and took all the credit with just a few words. The men got cigarettes. The women and children got candies and seeds stuffed into their pockets. Everyone praised the Leo family. I paid for everything, organized everything, held up the family's reputation, only for Leo's mother to scold me afterward for wasting money. She even made me kneel by the door, thanking each guest as they came and went. "A husband's dignity is golden," she said. "Kneeling for your man is your duty as a wife. Obeying your mother-in-law and honoring your husband is sacred. That's the Leo family's rule." The next day, my knees were so swollen they looked like 2 red buns, but I still had to do chores and tend the household. As for my dowry, Leo's mother seized it all under the excuse of safekeeping. Even when I was pregnant and craved an egg, she scolded me for being greedy. So many old and new hatreds. But the one I'll never forgive, the one that makes my blood boil the most, is that in my past life, she killed my child, Leo's mother. in her middle age, became more and more vicious and quick-tempered. 5 years after our marriage, she suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was bedridden for over 30 years. Later, as Leo rose in power, he wanted to divorce me more than once, thinking I was useless. But Leo's mother blocked him every time. I was the one who brought Miranda into this house. You're always away working. All these years, it was Miranda who stayed and cared for me. As long as I live, Miranda won't leave this house. Back then, I thought Leo's mother was just sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. For over 30 years, I cleaned her waste, fed her, cared for her, and accompanied her until her final breath. But at the end of her life, she sent me out of the room and grabbed Leo and Sandra's hands instead. I'm sorry, children. It was my fault insisting Leo marry Miranda, but I had no choice. If it hadn't been for Miranda's dowry, how could you both have gone to college? It was also my fault for being useless and bedridden. I couldn't bear to let you suffer, so I let Miranda be Leo's wife for 40 years. But look, didn't I repay her? I switched that brat she had for my real grandson. Can you two forgive me now? I had returned with a bowl of chicken soup and saw with my own eyes how she held the hand of the son I had raised and told him to call Sandra Mom. It was then I realized the child I gave birth to had been a girl, and on the very day she was born, Leo's mother took her, carried her up the mountain, and fed her to the wolves. I rushed in to question her, but she breathed her last just then. When I tried to call the police, Leo slapped me hard across the face. Miranda, you killed my mom and now you're playing the victim? Already frail, I collapsed from the shock and rage, and never got back up again. Enemies meeting again in this life. My hatred flared the moment I saw her fake act. Yet here she was, still playing the noble mother-in-law in front of me. I yanked the wine cup from her hand and threw it to the ground. What? You ran out of food and came here babbling nonsense because you're starving? Let me be clear, I am no longer the Leo family's daughter-in-law. Chapter 4. Everyone knows what a loving mother you are, giving Leo your own food rations. So where did you suddenly get extra coupons to host a banquet like this? With that, the villagers finally started putting the pieces together. Leo's mother had gone around playing the self-sacrificing widow, telling everyone how hard it was to raise a child alone. I'm just an old woman, what does it matter if I eat or not? But I can't let my son Leo go hungry. I exposed her lies and sneered. If you were just hungry and craving meat, you could have asked. No one would laugh at you for that. This was the first time I ever stood up to Leo's mother. She froze for a second, instinctively raising her hand to hit me, but when she noticed the villagers watching, her eyes darted. Then she collapsed to the ground wailing. Oh, what kind of life is this? A daughter-in-law cursing her mother-in-law the moment she enters the family? Folks, you be the judge. My son risked his life for this ungrateful little snake. A woman my age getting scolded by a little brat. I'd rather die from shame. She suddenly lunged forward, ramming her head into my stomach. Pain exploded through my organs like waves crashing. In my past life, even when she was bedridden, Leo's mom used to throw boiling or freezing water on me the moment she was unhappy. But this time? I'm not putting up with it anymore. I raised my knee hard and slammed it into her nose. She let go immediately, clutching her face and wailing as blood gushed down. Just then, Leo walked in and saw the whole scene. He rushed over and slapped me to the ground. You savage little thing! How dare you hit your mother-in-law? Careful, you'll be struck down by lightning. I spat a mouthful of blood right in his face. Leo, stop dreaming your fantasy dreams. I'd rather stay single for life than marry you. If you keep smearing my name, I'll sue you for sexual harassment. Leo's mother wiped the blood from her nose, eyes full of poison. Fine, Miranda. You asked for this. You ungrateful slut. Today I'll let everyone know exactly what kind of filth you are. Neighbors! I kept my mouth shut to protect Miranda's reputation. But here's the real truth. The day my son rescued her from the river, she'd just been fooling around with some wild man in the bushes. She was so weak from being used that she slipped and fell in. Miranda is nothing but a filthy tramp. It was like thunder out of nowhere. Whispers, gasps, and curses instantly filled the yard. No matter the era, a woman's chastity is always used as the deadliest weapon against her. It takes just one lie to destroy a reputation. and no way to prove innocence. The Leo family, both past and present, wants me dead, wiping the blood from my lips. I glared straight at Leo. Leo, have a little conscience. Tell them the truth about how I really fell into the river. I dare you. My sisters in the crowd shouted out. Leo, is it true what your mom said? This is a woman's life we're talking about. Don't ruin Miranda forever just because you're angry. Leo flinched beneath my stare, but still gritted his teeth and said, Miranda, this is what you deserve, but if you're truly sorry, I'll do the honorable thing and take you back, even if you're used goods. The crowd began murmuring. Some looked at him with sympathy, some even with admiration. Leo's mother sneered, everyone eat well, and later, help us carry the dowry. And please, do keep an eye on Miranda. This shameless tramp. Don't let her sneak around with men while my son's away. Leo came over and grabbed my wrist. Miranda, I'm willing to give you one last chance to be a decent woman. At that moment, the quiet rumble of car tires rolled through the yard. A pair of headlights lit up my little courtyard. I smirked coldly. But you're out of chances. Chapter 5. A military green truck pulled up right in front of my house, and several crisp, sharp-looking female soldiers jumped down from the back. From the passenger seat came Victor, the 13-year-old boy from our village. Miranda, yeah, I didn't mess it up, right? I stuffed a handful of candy into his hands and gave him a thumbs up. Victor, you're a lifesaver. The female soldiers quickly recognized me too. Comrade, you're okay. We're so relieved. The villagers looked on in confusion, but Leo's face went pale as he muttered to himself. No way. How could she possibly know? Panicking, he rushed toward me and tried to drag me aside. Miranda, I've changed my mind. We can get married. I'll marry you right now. Come back with me. Before I could even reply, one of the female soldiers stepped forward and pushed him away. You, what do you think you're doing? Manhandling a female comrade? Wait a second, it's you? You're the guy we handed her over to that day. Everyone stared in shock, while I calmly explained the truth. The person who saved me had never been Leo. It was these female soldiers, passing by on duty. This truth had only come to light after my death in the previous life. Earlier that day, while preparing the banquet, I had used my memories from before and asked Victor to deliver a letter for me. In the letter, I explained my situation and pleaded for their help in clearing my name. Since their camp was based in the nearby town, the soldiers came immediately and arrived just in time. That day, we were on assignment and happened to pass by. We saw Comrade Miranda in danger and rescued her. But we couldn't delay, and this man here said he was from the same village and would take care of her, so we left her in his care. The courtyard erupted again. So it was the female soldiers who saved Miranda? Leo, you told everyone you saved her. Leo stammered, but his mother quickly stepped in front of the crowd. Even if those girl soldiers pulled her out of the water, without my Leo giving her mouth to mouth, Miranda would have drowned for sure. You all saw it with your own eyes, my son saving Miranda. The villagers looked unsure again. After all, when Leo called for help that day, they had seen him with me at the river. One of the female soldiers frowned in confusion. That's not right. When we handed Comrade Miranda over, we'd already cleared the water from her lungs. She didn't need CPR at all. Leo's mother sneered at them. What do a few young girls like you know? My son is a college student. The soldiers immediately flashed their badges. We may not be in college, but we're medics. We've saved lives on the battlefield. You think we don't know a real drowning case when we see one? I stared straight at Leo, who still couldn't lift his head. Leo! It was clearly the female soldiers who saved me, yet you pretended to be my savior. You even took advantage of me and publicly smeared my name. You used fake gratitude to pressure me into marriage. What exactly were you trying to gain? Leo's mother rushed to shield him, puffing up like a toad, about to speak, but she was cut off by one of the soldiers. I knew it! I wasn't wrong that day. She was the one who pushed Miranda into the river. The soldier grabbed Leo's mother's wrist firmly. I saw it from the truck that day. You were the one who shoved her. And you were wearing this exact outfit. Now it was Leo's mother who turned pale. She clutched her face and tried to slink into the crowd. It wasn't me. You're lying. You're framing an innocent woman. I want to see your superiors. She thought they'd be scared, but the soldier agreed immediately. Sure, let's go. We'll go together to the police station and clear everything up. Just then, a few villagers stepped forward. I remember that day, Leo's mother was nearby, and she was wearing this outfit. I remember too, when Leo was yelling for help. She was right there in the same outfit. There's no way the soldier would have guessed that unless she really saw it happen. The truth was finally laid bare. From the very beginning, my fall into the river had been a trap set by Leo and his mother. They wanted me to owe them a life debt, so they could control me. I raised my hand and slapped Leo across the face, hard. Take that, you shameless creep. Chapter 6. The women around me, outraged and righteous, surged forward like a tide. Leo's mother clutched Leo as they both fled in a panic, but not without tossing out one last curse. You wretched, unlucky girl. Getting into our family was the best fortune you could have hoped for in 8 lifetimes. When my son makes it big, you'll regret it so hard your guts will turn green. Ha, in this life, without my money for his tuition, I'd love to see how Leo plans to rise to greatness. The next morning, I packed my bags and headed to the village entrance. In my previous life, I wasted everything in the Leo household, only to be scolded as a freeloader. Sure, I hadn't gone to school, but before I fell into that river, I'd been working every job I could find to survive. Last time, all my dowry went to fund Leo's future. This time, I'll use it to open my own little shop. The female soldiers from yesterday had praised my idea, calling me bold and capable. They even promised to talk to their superiors and said they'd swing by to pick me up on their way to the county today. While I was waiting for the truck, who else should show up but Leo, his mother, and Sandra, riding on the back of his bicycle. Enemies really do cross paths on narrow roads. Each of them looked at me with their own twisted little thoughts. Leo's mother, clearly having borrowed money for his tuition from somewhere, made a show of pulling the stack of bills out of a satchel, only to stuff it back in, loud and smug. Some people really thought the world couldn't turn without them. Huh. Take a good look, my son always has good fortune and powerful people helping him. Some illiterate village girl trying to climb up to our family? She should look in the mirror and ask herself if she's even worthy. And now she comes dragging her luggage like she regrets it and wants to send us off. Too late. Sandra, perched on the back of the bicycle, wrapped her arms around Leo's waist and leaned forward, peering at me, her expression as arrogant as it was in the last life. So you're Miranda? The one who grew up in the dirt? Sandra curled her lip and mocked me sweetly. Your parents must not have been very educated. Why else would they give you that kind of name? In my past life, it was the very next day after I married Leo that Sandra came knocking, inviting him to go to school with her. And when she saw me, she looked at me like a spoiled rich girl judging a kitchen maid. So you're the clingy little thing who keeps pestering Leo and won't let go? You've got a nice red flush on your cheeks. Did Leo not buy you any snow cream when he bought mine? She wore the newest Dacron blouse, her braided hair shining black and sleek. While I stood there in the ash-stained clothes from cooking that morning, head wrapped in the blue scarf Leo's mother gave me, I felt like an ugly duckling seeing a swan for the first time. My voice shrank to nothing. Of course I knew what snow cream was. Leo once said the classroom in winter was so cold his hands cracked. So I walked 40 li to bring him snow cream myself. But before I could even speak, Leo came out and cut me off coldly. What would you even talk to her about? She's just a housewife. She wouldn't understand a thing. Like playing the piano to a cow. Get on the bike. Sandra hopped onto the back like it was routine, and Leo shoved the lunchbox I'd prepared at dawn into her hands. I made your favorite, fried egg with sugar. They were so shameless. It made my anger feel petty. And for the next 40 years, they stomped on my dignity under the excuse of being old classmates and lifelong friends. Just as I was about to clap back, a loud chatter burst behind me. It was a whole group of village girls, all carrying luggage. They were the ones I had encouraged yesterday to join me in going to the city. They'd heard every word Sandra said, and immediately jumped in to defend me. Oh, so you went to school? Too bad you learned like a dog. Did your parents forget to teach you how to speak like a human being? Look at her holding on to Leo's waist like her life depends on it. Don't worry, honey, we don't fight dogs for scraps. Sandra's face flushed bright red. You're all uncultured. You're just jealous that Leo and I have a bright future. Unlike you peasants who'll be digging in the dirt your whole lives. I cut her off coldly. Mao Zedong himself said, all labor is honorable, there is no hierarchy in revolution. Working class people are the backbone of the nation. Or do you take issue with Chairman Mao's teachings? Sandra shook with rage. You're just bitter Leo dumped you. You can't let go. Always thinking about love, people like you are why our country isn't modernizing faster. The crowd roared again. Look who's talking. Throwing mud on others. My cousin works the counter at the department store. She saw you two holding hands while shopping. My uncle screened movies at the county high school, said you two were whispering sweet nothings behind the screen. TSK. I can't even say what he saw. Back then, Leo's mom was telling the whole village Miranda was already her daughter-in-law. So what does that make you? Huh? A homewrecker? Sandra panicked and clung to Leo. Leo. Say something. Leo parked his bike and came over, trying to drag me aside. Miranda, you've lived through a whole lifetime too, haven't you? Chapter 7. There was urgency in his eyes. He was hoping I'd confirm it. Because unless I'd lived once before, how could the Miranda he toyed with so easily suddenly become someone he couldn't control? I looked straight into those anxious eyes and smirked. Leo, you must be starving, saying nonsense like that. Lived a whole life? What the hell are you on about? We're nothing to each other now. So don't you dare touch me. I jerked my wrist free from his grip. The pain of my past life was Leo's proudest achievement. I'll never let him look at me with that same smugness again. He needs to understand one thing. The 19-year-old Miranda doesn't just hate him. She despises him. Leo's face fell at my words, wounded for a moment. But then he gave a cold snort. Fine, Miranda. You don't deserve to be the wife of a powerful man anyway. From now on, I'll walk my golden road. You walk your little dirt path. We owe each other nothing. Just remember, Miranda, I'm only going to rise higher from here on out. He truly believed that with the knowledge from his past life, he would only soar to greater heights. But why should we owe nothing? He hasn't even begun to repay what he owes me from the past. As he turned to leave with Sandra on the back of the bike, I stepped in front and blocked the handlebars. Miranda, even if you regret it now, it's too late. I cut off his shameless blabber. The bike, give it back. That bicycle? I bought it for Leo in our past life. Now I want everything of mine returned. Return what? Leo's mother rushed up and shoved me hard. All that stuff? You practically begged to give it to Leo back then. You were desperate to stick to our family. Only shameless people ask for things back once they've been given. Leo's mother shrieked. I grabbed the bike and yanked it hard toward me. Sandra was thrown right off the back seat with a cry. You didn't think it was shameless when you took my stuff. But now that I'm taking back what's mine, I'm shameless? I turned and shouted to my girls. Sisters, come with me to Leo's house. Let's take back our stuff and grow the capital for our shop. Without waiting another second, I shoved Leo aside and jumped on the bike, pedaling straight into the Leo household. The rest of the girls swarmed in after me. Some went for the sewing machine, others for the towels and soap. Some headed straight for the kitchen and took rice, flour, and cooking oil. Leo's mom screamed and tried to stop us, only to get scratched up by one of the women. Oh, it was you who gossiped to my mother-in-law about me. Huh? You old hag, always running your mouth. Sandra, pale as a ghost, hid behind Leo, trembling. At first, Leo tried to play it cool. A real man doesn't fight with women. But after a few solid punches from the sisters, calling him a cheater and a scumbag, he ran off to call the village chief. Stumbling and howling. Village chief, these women are ruining our village's future. Trashing my home is like trashing the future of society. Leo's mom was clutching her swollen face, crying with snot and tears, pointing at me and yelling, this little tramp, just because my son rejected her. She's holding a grudge and came to kill an old lady like me. I don't care if I die, but my son is going to college. He's going to be a government official someday. Village chief, you have to help us. Leo turned to me, face twisted with rage. Miranda, you criminal, don't you know stealing is a crime? You'll go to jail for this. And all of you, you're gonna rot in jail with her. He straightened up proudly. Miranda, we're done for good. Either you kneel down and apologize right now, or prepare to rot behind bars. But unlike what he expected, I didn't show the slightest fear. Paying back debts is justice. I'm taking back what's mine. Leo's mother spat and shrieked. Bullshit! You say it's yours and suddenly that makes it true? Leo's mother shrieked. Where's your proof? If the stuff's in our house, then it's ours. Sandra had also regained her composure with a nasal sneer. She said, no one's above the law. We'll report this to the Public Security Bureau. Miranda, when you're behind bars, don't you dare play the innocent and say you didn't know the law. Even the village chief, with a cigarette tucked behind his ear, frowned and looked at me. Miranda, do you have any proof these things belong to you? If you can't prove it, then bringing people to cause trouble, that's a real crime. I replied coldly. Of course I do. Chapter 8. I pulled out a stack of IOUs from inside my coat. Leo's face went pale. I knew it! I knew you didn't throw them away. Miranda, so that's what this was all about? You were cozying up to me for my future prospects? And now your foxtail finally shows. Huh? In the past, whenever Leo asked for something from me, to save face, he'd always toss out an IOU in return, pretending to be noble. Not just anyone's worthy of a Leo family receipt. One day, when I rise to greatness, these IOUs will be worth a lifetime's fortune. Back then, I'd always acted indifferent, waving it off. Oh, what debt? Really? Then secretly gone back to pick it up. Not because I wanted money or position, but because I, foolish girl that I was, thought buying me for a lifetime was the most romantic thing anyone had ever said to me. I had treasured those IOUs in a little wooden drawer, like they were love letters. Now, as everyone stared at Leo's own handwriting, he was red with fury, but couldn't deny a single one. Leo's mother opened her mouth to start howling again, but I smiled coldly and cut her off. Oh, what's wrong? Even an educated intellectual like you is going to skip out on a debt? That shut her up completely. The commotion from the sisters helping me move things had startled the entire village. We were surrounded 3 layers deep with onlookers, as they watched us swiftly clear out item after item. Many couldn't help but click their tongues. So everything in Leo's house was bought by Miranda? Off to the side, Sandra's face twisted in confusion. She clutched Leo's arm. Leo, what is going on? Didn't you say your family had old money and land passed down? In my past life, Sandra didn't find out the truth until Leo's mother passed away, that the Leo family had always relied on my dowry. But by then, Leo had already climbed to success, and they didn't have to worry about survival anymore. Now, faced with the bare, empty house, Sandra clearly couldn't accept the truth. No matter how Leo explained that he'd definitely get into university and become a high-ranking official, Sandra still refused to believe. While the two of them were bickering, a few deep male voices suddenly rang out. Sandra, didn't you say Leo's family was well off? They're this poor? How the hell are they going to pay for your brother's wedding? Sandra's face instantly turned pale. Dad, what are you doing here? Turns out, while we were hauling stuff, I'd asked one of the sisters to run to the neighboring village and notify Sandra's father. Sandra, always elegant like a swan, got slapped across the face by her father right in front of everyone. Useless girl. All you do is pretty yourself up and chase successful men in school, and this is who you end up with, a dirt poor loser? I'll beat the stupid out of you. He grabbed Sandra by the hair and dragged her off. Leo tried to stop him only to get punched straight to the ground by one of Sandra's uncles. Not a cent to your name and you still want to marry? Educated? Pfft. Get lost. Leo sat there, face bruised and swollen, staring at his now bare home. Eyes bloodshot as he glared at me viciously. Miranda, you blind, stupid woman. One day, I swear you'll be on your knees, begging me. I looked at him coldly and pointed to his brand new army green trousers. Take off those pants. The fabric was bought with my money, and I sewed them myself, even if I had to cut them up or burn them. I'd never let that scumbag keep them. Leo's face turned beet red, whether from rage or sheer embarrassment. Who knows? Miranda, you're telling a man to take off his pants in broad daylight? Shameless tramp. Your brain's filled with filth. A vulgar woman like you should be arrested and shot on the spot. Funny how he conveniently forgot the kind of man he was in our past life. Chapter 9. Desire between a man and woman should have been a natural thing, but every time I tried to be intimate with Leo in our past life, he would point at my nose and scold me like a criminal. Do you know how hard it is for the country to train a college student? My time and energy are meant for nation building, not wasted on the rotten flesh of a housewife like you. He said it so righteously, as if I were some dirty rat crawling in the daylight, disgusting and disgraceful. But after I died, 60-year-old Leo was sweating and huffing on top of Sandra right beside my corpse, 1 minute calling her sweetheart as he buried his face in her chest. The next minute she was moaning Big Brother with her neck arched back, switching positions endlessly, groaning like pigs in heat. The memory alone is enough to make me gag. Now, looking at him pretending to be so self-righteous, I forced down the nausea and sneered coldly. Oh, cut it with the shoot her talk. What? Is the Public Security Bureau run by your family now? You didn't think it was shameless when you asked me to make you army green trousers, just because your classmates had them, but now that I ask for my own things back, I'm the shameless one? I raised my voice, loud and clear enough, for everyone in the village to hear. Leo, you looked down on me, but never stopped mooching off me. You're the real hypocrite here. By now, Leo's reputation in the village was already ruined, and the crowd had no mercy. Leo, so it was you asking her for stuff, huh? Calling yourself an intellectual? Since when do intellectuals ask girls for military pants, huh? The crowd burst into laughter. Leo's face turned liver purple, but he actually tore off the pants and shoes and threw them at me, revealing his ridiculous red and green thermal underwear. Take your trash back. I never wanted it anyway. Miranda, you're the bottom of the barrel. I'm a mountain you'll never be worthy to climb. I didn't even bother replying to his howling, just chuckled coldly and walked off. I opened a small store near the edge of the county town, selling goods from the north and south. On opening day, Leo's mother came storming in to make a scene. She's a parasite, a disgrace to socialism, selling junk on the streets, only to be stopped by a kindly police officer. Auntie, the state has entered the reform and opening up era. We encourage individual businesses now. If you keep causing trouble, we'll have no choice but to take you in. Leo's mother stomped off, grumbling and furious. Shameless girl, showing your face in public. Let's see what man would want you now. Don't come crying later begging for my son. Just wait till my boy gets into university. Just as Leo's mom was still dreaming about his bright future, a police car roared into the school. Out came Sandra's father, yelling at the top of his lungs, "You knocked up my daughter. Leo, you perverted scum. I'm having you arrested right now." In my past life, it was around the same time that Sandra got pregnant. Back then, Leo kept coming home to sleep with me, and used my money to shut up Sandra's family. So things didn't blow up. But in this life, he had no more money, and Sandra's family wasn't going to just let it slide. I turned to Leo's mom with a mocking smile. Well, looks like your son might have to take his college entrance exams from jail. While I sat with the sisters, munching sunflower seeds, Leo was hauled into the police car, hands cuffed behind his back. Behind him, his mother wailed and screamed, "It's that tramp Sandra who seduced my son. My boy was going to be a college student." Sandra's father delivered 2 solid kicks to her head. "Shut up, you filthy hag." Leo's mother lay on the ground, holding her head in pain, her eyes fluttering as she turned toward me. Miranda. I'm dizzy. Be a good girl. Come help me up." Looks like the cerebral hemorrhage that killed her in my past life came early this time, but hearing her plea didn't stir even a ripple in my heart. I just spit out my sunflower seed husk. "You took my daughter's life. Every debt will be repaid." Chapter 10. To everyone's surprise, Leo was released again, and what's more, he actually married Sandra. Because of Sandra's health, she couldn't get an abortion, but her family refused to raise another 2 mouths. They demanded 50 yuan in bride price, or else they'd send Leo straight back to jail. Leo's mother was already paralyzed, stuck on the bed in her own waste. Leo, desperate, ran everywhere trying to borrow money, but was blocked at the door by creditors. Turned out Leo's mother, trying to show off and fund Leo's tuition, had already mortgaged the house. We only lent you the money because we thought you'd get into college. But the whole school knows you knocked up a girl. They've expelled you. You think we'll wait around while this debt rots? Leo, frantic and sweating, had ulcers in his mouth from the stress. And then, unbelievably, he came to ask me for money, but my shop was booming. I didn't even bother acknowledging him. Still, he squatted outside my store every day, waiting for me to close up. He watched me count stacks of cash, and the envy in his eyes was obvious. He couldn't help but wonder, why didn't Miranda have this kind of capability in the past life? But the truth was, I'd always had it. There was just a rotten stone blocking my path. Miranda, he begged, voice thick with desperation. For old time's sake, help me out. You've got so much money in your hands. I only need half. I waved the cash in my hand. Sure, I've got money, but tell me, why the hell should I give any to you? Leo's breath reeked of ulcers and desperation. The once handsome scholar was long gone. Now he looked like a deadbeat gambler at the end of the line. Miranda, listen, if you loan me the money, I'll marry you. You don't know what I know. If I can just get through this moment, I'll pass the college exam. I swear, I'll walk the path of glory. I'll even swear to the heavens. Then he actually got down on his knees in front of me. 3 fingers raised toward the sky. A moment of silence, then boom. A clap of thunder tore through the clear sky. Leo nearly wet his pants from fear. I smirked coldly. You see that? Even the heavens can't stand your shameless lies. I tapped his face with a wad of cash. Leo, stop dreaming. There's no university, no future official title. There's just your pregnant wife. And a paralyzed old hag in bed. Leo, this is your fate. I walked away, leaving him sobbing behind me. Leo did end up marrying Sandra. Their house was taken by creditors. He sold off his ancestral land. The whole family of 3 ended up homeless, squatting in a half-collapsed hut in the village. At first, Leo still had some pride, but as his mother starved and Sandra screamed herself hoarse, he was finally forced to beg for food. When he reached my store, he looked worn out by life, but tried to put on a pitiful smile and tidy his filthy clothes. Boss, I heard you opened another store. I'm good at math. I could do your accounting. You can pay me whatever. That empty house of yours in the village. Let me send my mom and wife to keep an eye on it. You didn't go to school. You don't know accounting. You can't trust just anyone, you know? But the sisters who started their journey with me were now confident, stylish women. Where'd this smelly beggar come from? Get lost. Don't delay us, we've got night classes. I didn't even spare Leo a glance. The next I heard of him, he'd gone insane. They were fighting. Leo stabbed his wife to death, even tore the baby out of her and hacked it to bits. His mother too, throat slashed. He cut his own neck, still muttering something about coming back again. Oh yeah, he said he wanted another chance to marry you. Miranda, what do you think? How does someone just go crazy like that? The villagers clicked their tongues and shook their heads. I just smiled and said, today's the grand opening of my new store. Eat well, drink plenty, don't bring up bad luck. Glasses clinked in celebration. As for Leo, I didn't know if he'd get another chance. All I knew was, this life, I will live happily.